Hey guys, welcome to Story Time with Vito and my bottle of Talisker 10. Alright, so tonight we are going to be talking about Talisker 10 and a little bit of a story. So I'm going to pour a bit of this first and then we'll get to story time. So nice little cork pop, and I guess for the camera, nice Talisker 10 here. Alright, so my name is Vito. We're going to use this as a little bit of an introductory as well, seeing as how we've never really introduced ourselves on the long form videos that we're doing. So my name is Vito. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I am 29, and we're in my first full year of really enjoying whiskey. And that started well before this happened, but specifically I took a bit of a trip and I ended up in Scotland, and between my Edinburgh and Glasgow days I decided to rent a car and drive up to the Isle of Skye. And by the time I got up there, it's a bit of a drive, but once I got up there, I ended up in a small town called Broadford, and I stayed overnight there in a small little hostel. It was about 8 o'clock at night or so, so I was hungry, as one is after a long drive, and the only place open was a small little pub in the basement of the local hotel. So I went in there and I ordered a meat pie, and it was great. It was amazing. One of the best meals I had that trip. But additionally, I asked the bartender for a pour of scotch, something local. So he poured me some Talisker 10 in a rocks glass, quite a good pour, to about 2 ounces or so. I ordered that and a Guinness because I wasn't too sure. Prior to that, I had never enjoyed a whiskey ever. Begrudgingly accepted and drank and forced myself through it out of respect for who's giving it to me. But so I was drinking it and I was kind of forcing myself through it, and he noticed and he said, "You're not really enjoying that, are you?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." And I kind of felt I felt really bad because I asked him for something local, and it just felt like it was a little bit rude of me. But I didn't finish it and he was fine with it. But there was something there that day that kind of made me want to go back and revisit whiskey in a bit more of a serious manner. So a couple months go by. I got back from Scotland. A couple months go by, and it kind of falls by the wayside. But I was more open to trying more whiskeys. A friend of mine invited me over, and he's like, "Come over. I'll give you, a couple of different whiskeys, and you can try it and whatever, and just kind of hang out." I said, "Okay, no problem." My first love of any sort of scotch was Laphroaig Quarter Cask, and that kind of rejuvenated everything, like this bit of that mystery and awe that a good whiskey gives you. So that was about in January of last year, and then in March of the same year of last year, 2018, I decided that the exact day of the 1 year anniversary of me not enjoying that Talisker 10, I was going to go out and buy another bottle and drink it again for the first time since that time. And so I bought it. I went home, I poured myself a Glencairn, and it was amazing. Now we're here. It did start, I typically always say that my whiskey journey started with Laphroaig Quarter Cask, but really it started before that, because Talisker 10 was the whiskey that kind of drew me back in. quarter cask made me love it, but Talisker 10 was the little bit of that spark that I think I needed. So yeah, that's a bit of my whiskey journey, and now we're gonna get into a bit of a review of the 10. So, quick background of Talisker itself. It has been the only whiskey distillery on the Isle of Skye, in the town of Carbast, for the longest time. The new distillery that began operations last year should be pumping out some of their first whiskey runs in the next year, 2 years or so, because you need to have 3-year age at minimum for any Scotch. That distillery is, if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, so be it, but I believe it's pronounced Torabhaig. Yeah, that's going to be the second official distillery on Skye. Talisker itself started in 1830, and changed hands a number of times until it was taken over by Guinness & Co. And in 1997, they along with a bunch of other beverage firms formed into Diageo. So since 1997, Talisker has been owned by Diageo, and Talisker is part of their Classic Malt series. So on this one here, the Talisker 10, it's a 10 age statement, 10 years old, bottled at 45.8% ABV, and like all Taliskers -1, it is chill filtered with color additives. And for those wondering which is the expression that doesn't have chill filtering or color additives, I believe it's Nest Point. Not that I believe, I know it's Nest Point. If there's another one, I'm not aware of it. I can't find any information on the internet, but as far as I know, Nest Point is their only expression with no coloring and no chill and not chill filtered. So now, Talisker's very briny, and I always get green apples, and obviously a bit of that peat, and it creates a little bit of an interesting, not an interesting, but just that combination. It took me a while to separate everything, but for the longest time it was just I always imagined a fresh baked apple pie, but smoked, like a smoked fresh apple pie, and a lot of pepper. Not a lot of pepper, but like, yeah, I would say, yeah, no, a good amount of black pepper. It kind of stings a little bit. That's what you kind of want when you're looking for that. And also, if you like black pepper like I do, it's very welcoming. On the taste, same stuff. Healthy amount of peat, salty, fruity. That green apple comes back for me, but getting more meatiness, right? So I'm getting a bit of a brisket, also barbecue brisket, not a vinegar, more of a Texas style brisket, and nori, so like dried seaweed, which I really love. I love nori, and that sensation that you get when you have something minty, that sort of effervescency feeling of mint, that sensation. I get a lot of that on the back end. Yeah, that's really good. Really, really good. It owns its own spot on my shelf. I won't never not have this whiskey available for me or my guests. And the finish is medium to long. A lot of salt. That bright fruit still kind of cuts through everything. And salty peanuts. They're dry salty peanuts. Kind of gives you a little bit of a dryness in your mouth, which is nice. Yeah, no, this is a spectacular whiskey. It really is, and it holds a special place in my heart. So I may be a bit biased, but it's darn good. And as yeah, there's no getting around it. It's just really good. Although on that last little bit, got a bit of fishiness. Salmon. See, I actually don't like fish, but so I could be wrong, but I'm sort of trying to attribute the taste, or at least my point of reference smell wise, and trying to translate it to what I'm tasting, and I think it's salmon. Smoked salmon. That's the first time I've gotten that. Yeah, it's really good. So yeah, so that's the Talisker 10, and thanks for joining me on that little bit of story time through my whiskey journey. Reviews my reviews in the future won't be as long, but because I won't have as long and as boring a story as we did today, but there's still some stories, but definitely not as long, so they're gonna be a little bit shorter. But man, Talisker is damn good. Definitely go, and if you haven't tried it yet, it's probably your best whiskey to have if you want to try and get into peat. That and Highland Park as well, but I think the Talisker 10's a little bit better. So yeah, so thanks for joining me, and cilantro.